All right. We are live. Let me check out the YouTube channel, make sure that the stream is up and running, that things look good. Yeah, things look all right so far. Give it a second, let some people join in. Hopefully everyone's doing okay. Let me know if I need to up the audio in the game, because I'm not entirely convinced that it's playing right now. At least I'm looking at the desktop audio feed, and I don't see anything that could indicate that it is. Hey, David Harbour's here. How you doing, buddy? Welcome, welcome. You're the first one in here. How's your day going so far? Alrighty. We're putting that up. Campaign. New campaign. Methinks. Methinks. Oh boy. Phil Spencer is here. The Phil Spencer, head of Xbox. Aaron Biagatti says, what are you playing on? I am playing the game via the PS3 emulator. But I do own a physical copy of the game on my PS3. XXX Music, says David Arbor. Hopefully you guys can hear the game. Is it audible at all? If not, let me know. I can bump up the audio. Let me actually share the stream to Twitter. Or I guess X, formerly known as Twitter. Playing some Killzone 2. It's definitely a video game that released. All right. Killzone 2 is amazing. There's a reason it has like a 92 on Metacritic. I'm not sure I'd say amazing. And I'd say that 92 on Metacritic is probably evident that something about Metacritic is a little bit not very definitive on if a game is good or not. But the saga continues. Yeah, we you know, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And this was Guerrilla Games' attempt to try again with Killzone. And it was arguably more successful than the first attempt. If there is menu music, I ain't hearing it. Gotcha. All right, let's do something about the audio. Let's see. Let me try, no, not speakers. Not speakers. Here, let's try that. Can you guys hear anything? Probably not, actually. So, let me then go to properties and maybe default? Oh my god. Okay. That looked extremely loud. There. You guys can hear it okay now, right? Arguably. Uh-oh. How bad? It's... Man. Killzone 2 is more of like a technical accomplishment, I think, than a mechanical or narrative accomplishment. That's the best way that I can describe it. Narratively, it's not great. Mechanically, it's kind of like... It's kind of like if you've ever seen like those mods for Gears of War 1's PC version that put the game in first person. Clearly the game doesn't work as well in first person. That's the best way that I can describe it. But it definitely is an extremely good-looking game. So good-looking, in fact, that the game has input lag. Just because of how much it is attempting to do on the PS3. And the input lag, You can feel it even in this main menu. There is input delay with the button presses in the main menu because your button inputs are like the last thing that the game engine is rendering because it's so focused on everything else. But, here, we'll start with Trooper. Overcorrected the volume. Can't hear you. Can you hear me now, though? It was loud. Yeah, I heard that it was loud. There was a blast of noise. Ah. I remember the animation being incredible, but we'll see, LOL. The animation for the guns are incredible. Everybody else is a bit hit or miss, which is kind of like the first Killzone game. The Hellgast, unfortunately, they do still look like Star Wars stormtroopers in snow pants, like shuffling about awkwardly. When did this come out? This came out in 2009. So when you see the visuals of the game, keep in mind that 2009 is the time frame. Can hear a bit quiet, but that's okay. The game is a bit quiet, or I'm a bit quiet. Because hopefully the game is okay. So the guy that we were playing as in the first game, the developers of this game, you know, the first game wasn't that great, and so some changes were in order for the sequel to try to, you know, figure out if this is going to become a franchise, what can we do to make it, like, better? The first thing that they did was they clearly played Gears of War, and then they said that their main character was too nice, so they replaced him with this guy who has a mohawk that we're playing as. So the character from the first game, forget about him, he's no longer important. You're playing as a completely new guy, which is usually a recipe for disaster, and it does unfortunately come back to bite this series in the ass, I guess, in the future, because Killzone does sort of run into the same problem Resistance had, where every single game in the franchise just completely reinvents itself, because each time the game comes out, it's not that appealing for people, so they keep just trying to reinvent it, and eventually they just end up with a series that has no core identity. Game is too quiet? Would you rather play this or Halo 5? Killzone 2 doesn't feel quite as, like, cynical, I guess, as Halo 5. Like, Halo 5 kind of feels like... Well, I mean, this game is, like, aping off of Gears of War, where Halo 5 is aping off of every single shooter on the market. Call of Duty, Destiny, you know, name a game, and Halo 5 is trying to be that game, but... I also remember the camera is really low when you walk up to other people. Oh, yeah, look at this. If you go up to other people, look how freaking tall they all are. They're so much taller than you. But I think that's actually because of the low field of view. But yeah, everyone looks very tall in this game. It looks pretty cinematic for 2009. Yeah, it's got that, it's like the peak of the, like, brown-gray military shooter vibe that a lot of shooters were having at this time. And I definitely think it's one of the more successful games. It does kind of feel almost at times like a movie. But once we get into combat, you'll probably see some cool ideas, but also a lot of just not great ideas. One of the not great ideas here is, you know, you're part of Alpha Squad. In an unrelated comment, what do you guys think of Gears of War? Yeah, so that right there, the guy on the left, he's the main character of the first game. They shuffled him off because they thought he wasn't, like, cool enough. So they replaced you with this guy named Sev, who I couldn't tell you anything about him. That awful character from Killzone 1 is back, Rico, and unfortunately he's worse in this game. He's very obnoxious. Gets uncharacteristically angry at standard battlefield and war injustices, and is probably someone who should be court-martialed and, you know, dishonorably discharged because of just how unprofessional he is during times of war. But here he is. He's a main character. Zone David is back in action. Are you playing the entire game? Not the entire game. Well, maybe. Maybe. So this is a semi-remake of the infamous Killzone demo, the one that was CGI. And I will say, I think it looks better. Like, not graphically, obviously, and it's not as smooth, but I think that artistically it looks much better. So we crash land here on this beach. It's a pretty strong opening. Character banter is pretty, like, stiff and very, you know, Gears of War comes to mind, or Gears of War from Temu. But it's not bad, you know, as far as entrances go to the game. But immediately, off the bat, one of the things that puts a lot of people off when they try out Killzone for the first time, or Killzone 2, is there is almost a quarter of a second input lag for everything that you do. Looking around, moving, jumping, aiming down the sights. There's a pretty heavy input lag. And a lot of Killzone fans try to say it's by design to make guns feel heavy, but it's not. It's because of all the post-processing effects on screen and the what they're doing, how they're rendering the game. Basically, like, your button inputs are almost the last thing that the engine is caring about. And all of that time, like those milliseconds that stack on top of each other, are more dedicated to actually rendering the image. So as a result, it does kind of feel like your gameplay is the least important thing to this engine. Yeah, the frame rate is really tanking hard right now, and I'm running it at 30 FPS, 720p, you know, getting that base PS3 experience. But also some of this FPS drop is probably because I'm streaming at the moment. I bet we could probably shut off the little Killzone man in the bottom right corner of my screen. And then I could probably squeeze a couple more FPSs, frame rates per second, out of the whole experience. But deferred rendering Killzone 2. Yeah. Yep. And it definitely looks good. Like, I'm not sure. It probably wasn't a smart choice, like, in terms of making a marketable shooter, which is why Killzone 3, one of the first orders of business for that game was tone down a lot of these post-processing effects so that you can get a bit more, a bit of a better response time from controller inputs. But I will say, in terms of just, like, this kind of, like, relic from a different era, I do think that it was an interesting choice. You got an assault rifle, but it's a bullpup there for sci-fi. Yeah, I like the look of the Killzone's version of the Halo assault rifle. This is like the iconic Killzone gun. Or at least it was, you know, but the franchise kept reinventing itself until nobody could tell what a Killzone is. So for like 2 games maybe, this is the main weapon of Killzone, and then they completely drop it for the next game. But I really like the look of this gun. The first game had that, like, circle red dot sight, but for this game, they went with, like, an EOTech hollow sight. And I think it looks better. There is a bit of a oddity, though. So you can see how there's that front sight on the gun still attached. Once you aim down the sights, you can see the front of the barrel right there, but just for some reason, the front sight goes away. I don't know why. Well, I mean, probably so that you can get, like, a better, clearer sight when aiming down the sights, but it just despawns for some reason. So controls for Killzone 2 are also a bit unorthodox. But unorthodox, I don't say that as, like, in a bad way. In fact, it's actually kind of interesting now, because most first-person shooters, I think, have kind of, like, all homogenized around the same control scheme, like the Call of Duty control scheme, you know? B is to crouch, left trigger is aimed down the sights, bumper, throw grenade, you know? This game, aiming down the sights is the right stick, crouch is holding down the left trigger, and when you hold down the left trigger at a wall, you take cover behind it, and even though your head is exposed, you are actually, like, immune. Which is probably just because, you know, they played Gears of War and thought that the cover system was really cool in that, but in a first-person shooter, you got to be able to see over the cover. So this is fine. Don't worry, they won't hit you. And then you can kind of, like, pop up from behind cover like that. If you're next to a wall, you can hit them with one of these, you know? And so that's kind of like the whole loop of Killzone. Oh, and you have one weapon. Because your pistol, it has unlimited ammo, but you can't trade it out. So you've got your primary weapon here, and then an unlimited ammo secondary backup weapon that you can, like, switch to in a jiffy if your primary weapon runs out of ammo. Crouch is trigger? Huh? Yeah, crouch is trigger. And, you know, for Killzone, it does sort of work. It does work, because it's not like you press B and then your character is just locked to a wall. It does give you a bit of control, because I can just go up, hold down the trigger, and then when I'm ready to leave, I just let go of that trigger, and then I just detach myself from the wall, you know? So I come over here, hug the trigger, let go, run over to this guy, hold down the trigger, automatically sticky to the wall. It's just that input lag that makes it very hard to aim and hit anything. You'll find that a majority of the time with this game, you are fighting the controls as much as you are the kill zones. I'll be honest, the game still looks pretty good for the hardware it's in. It does look pretty good. I'd go as far as to say this looks better than Battlefield 3, which released like 2 years after it. So the secondary is kind of like the OG Star Wars Battlefront 2. Yeah. I think this is what I think they were trying to do. I think, so at the time, a lot of games were really fascinated with the idea of kind of like backups, you know, like utility weapons, backup weapons, something that is kind of like great in most situations. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Halo with the Magnum in Halo 1, and later the battle rifle. And I think this was kind of like Killzone's attempt to do that. So it's like you've got... And this little pistol is pretty great. Like, it's a powerful, beefy Magnum. It can make them recoil and stumble around. It's got a pretty fast reload, all things considered. And it's always there for you. It's always there when you need it in a pinch. And I think that's probably what they were trying to do. So it's like, yeah, you've got your primary slot, which you can, you know, you can get a shotgun, you can get a sniper, you can get yourself the Killzone assault rifle, whatever you need. But that pistol is always there in your back pocket. What does make the pistol a little bit hard to use, though, is just that input lag. It's very hard to get a clear shot on them just because, you know, you feel kind of like you're aiming through molasses. Like when people say that playing first-person shooters with a controller sucks, I think Killzone 2 is what they think most shooters play like. I want LNG to notice me without the super chat this time. Hey, Mr. Nowhere, it's good to see you, buddy. This is my favorite VTuber channel. How you doing, Mr. Nowhere? Killzone 3 improved a lot with the controls. Yeah, that was one of the things about Killzone 3 that they marketed, was the game doesn't have an insane input lag to it. And another thing that they innovated, though, from the first game to the second game in Killzone 2 was theoretically the AI. They're still pretty dorky, I'm gonna be honest, okay? And it's made kind of unintentionally worse by the fact that they sort of mimicked Halo's behavior tree system. If I remember right, it's a very similar system to what Halo uses for how the AI are given kind of like a list of options, of tactical options to choose from, and they will decide which one is best for the situation that they're in. But in Killzone's case, because these aren't aliens, you know, they're not like, they're human-like, it just makes them act and look really weird, because they'll shuffle about in these like really awkward ways. They won't really behave like people are supposed to behave. Sometimes they'll even do like the elite berserker charge. They'll be like across the battle and they'll just throw their fully loaded gun onto the ground and then come at you with a knife. But they're so far away from you. That man just tried to walk away. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the animations, or what I mentioned earlier. First-person animations, still brilliant looking. Like, look at that. That is a good reload animation that is perfectly timed right now with the slowdown. But the third-person animations leave a lot to be desired, and they're motion captured, but they feel like they're motion captured without, like, context. So it's just like a guy in an animation studio being told, okay, walk with a gun, and not understanding, like, walk with a gun, also you're being chased by the protagonist. So the Hellgast will just kind of, like, shuffle about without any urgency. They look very silly in motion. And speaking of things in motion, the frame rate is certainly not in motion. It is right now running at a beautiful, beautiful cinematic 12 frames per second. Hey, Mr. Nowhere! You donated anyway. You found me, but so much of me is wrong. Out of place. I'm trying to remember the other quotes from that scene. What is it Master Chief says to her? You know me when I make a promise. There's my Shih Tzu in the background trying to finish the quote as well. Why don't you use your double mag for the reload, though? I think it's just because it looks cool, to be honest. Titi, buddy. What's going on, buddy? Yeah, the frame rate is really upset by this room. Hey, buddy. No. No. He just came over to me, looking at me like, did you see that? Did you see what happened? And when I said no to him, he looked so sad that I wasn't going to join him in the barking. That FPS is chugging hard. Is it on a PS3? No, it's on a PS3 emulator. We are running, though, at... Here, you know what? We could probably try to fix up. Yeah, BR75 here. Hang on. Don't look. This is a PS3, okay? Burr? The temperature? That's kind of hot. Change custom configurations, GPU. Anti-aliasing, auto, shader quality. Let's set shader quality to auto and see if that actually improves the frame rate. Don't look at this. This is a PS3. We're playing from a genuine PS3. Don't look at this. Don't look at this. This is, see, a lot of people just have selective memory. They forget this is what the PS3 was like. Bro is yapping. Yeah, he really was yapping. Thought I'd try super chatting $50. Mix things up a little. Okay, you know what? That was actually good. That was pretty good, Mr. Nowhere. How you doing, though, dude? Things treating you well? Input lag, limited weapon options. It's like this game is in a straitjacket. It's... So... People, I think, have been, like, gaslighting themselves recently into thinking that this game was actually, like, really good. And it's really frustrating, because I feel like if Gears of War were on PS3, nobody would remember Killzone 2. It really does feel kind of like it's the graphics and that's about it. And, you know, honestly, the input lag itself, even though it was not intentional, that might be the most interesting thing about the game and where a lot of the challenge comes from. Because there are some things that the developer tries to do, Guerrilla tried to do to make the shooting feel kind of like... the shooting to feel kind of weighty. Like, for example, if you start firing, the longer you fire, the more inaccurate your weapon becomes. And there is also, like, a lot of, there's a bit of a delay before you can start firing your weapon again at full accuracy. But the input lag stacked on top of that makes the act of shooting in this game so difficult that it almost becomes part of the game's core identity. Oh my god, do you see this frame rate? Okay, it's still not running too hot. Okay, you know what? We're going to try to shut off the Killzone man, okay? So say goodbye to the Killzone man. And let's see what that does to our frame rate. It did smoothen out the frame rate a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. It has been ages since LNG has acknowledged me, says Thomas Hendrickson. Here's another thing that's a bit of the time for this game is 6-axis mandatory gameplay sequences. Playing Peak Zone, I see. Not sure if I'd call it Peak Zone, but it's definitely a something zone. Oh no. There's a kill zone. Yeah, the low frame rate right now is not doing this justice. Let's see. Maybe I can set the shader quality to low. Because I swear to you, the emulator doesn't normally run it this bad. Is it sync? Is that an option with the emulator? Sync? What do you mean? Like VSync? I could try turning VSync on, seeing if that fixes anything. In fact, that might actually add more input lag and make the game even more accurate to how it runs on a PS3. Because it definitely runs, at least frame rate wise, better than this. Oh, I didn't gaslight myself into liking the series. I just like bad games. No, it's not a problem. I like bad games too. It's okay. One of my favorite games is Sonic 06. Freaking love replaying that game. They should have made Killzone. Now that's a game I would play. Oh, like a game about like shrimp that are at war. Next time play Killzone 3 with Move controllers. Killzone 3. So talking about Killzone 3, Killzone 3 was probably... So Killzone 2 is clearly inspired by Gears of War. Like, it's got the cover shooter system. You're in Alpha Squad. You're all a bunch of, like, tough, buff men. Killzone 3 is the one where they played Modern Warfare 2 and were like, make Killzone that. The game even starts out with, like, a Call of Duty-style tutorial. It apes a bit of the snow aesthetic from Modern Warfare 2, you know, everybody in the parkas in a snowy environment and stuff. But it also does the, you know, like, try aiming your weapon down range. Good. Now throw a grenade at the targets. But by that point, like, Killzone, I guess, wasn't really catching on as a franchise. Like, it definitely had a cult following, don't get me wrong, and I think the multiplayer was actually enjoyed by people. It probably didn't do, like, Gears of War numbers or, like, Halo numbers, but people liked Killzone 2 multiplayer well enough. But by Killzone 3, they really, really changed the tone of the series. And it was a pretty dramatic tone shift. And then with Killzone Shadowfall, the PS4 game, they changed the tone of the series again, getting away from Killzone 3 and just being kind of like a thing that no one liked. Oh, Titi. He's right now playing with his toy. Hi, buddy. I like bad games. I still play Warzone. Do people like Warzone? Well, okay, depends on which Warzone. Call of Duty Warzone doesn't seem like a bad game. Like, people seem to like that, right? Unless you're talking about Halo 5 Warzone. Halo 5 Warzone I don't think I'd call bad. I'd just say, like, maybe confused. I appreciate Warzone a lot, though. Alright, so here is a Troika sequence. You know, we gotta hop on the Troika and mow down the locusts. Yeah, but, like, the game looks great. And it's probably the best looking game on the last generation of consoles. That does come with some limitations, like mostly in that, like, you can probably see, like, playable spaces are not very big. AI is not great. There's not a lot that they can do in terms of, like, interesting set pieces. Like, you couldn't do something like the Halo Scarab in the Killzone engine, probably, because the frame rate on a PS3 would probably actually match the frame rate of this emulator. But designing the game around the limitations that they had means that they can control the presentation of the game. And it does look pretty decent. And I also do really, really, really... Whoa, did you see that? That is not part of the original game's presentation, I promise. But I do really appreciate kind of like this era of just like balls to the walls graphics tech where they didn't really care about playability, visibility, accessibility, like anything. They're just like make the game look as good as possible. Who cares if no one can play it? It's almost, it reminds me a bit of like Crysis, like the original Crysis, where it was like, we're going to make the most graphically complex game on the planet, and there won't be a single PC that can run it at a good frame rate. This game is nostalgic looking. Yeah, it's the absolute peak of that gritty 2000s, like everything is brown and gray military shooter / Hollywood aesthetic. And it's also got permanent motion blur and also vignettes on the side of the screen. You know, as well as like film grain, camera smudges and distortions, like just everything here. And this was before, you know, people became more like conscious of like accessibility options for some of these things, you know. So it's just like, this was the game. Take it or leave it. And while I cannot advocate for this kind of game design, I do kind of admire just like the artistic ambition of just like, our game will make you sick. Our game will make you throw up. You will play at a low FOV with motion blur, camera shake, a vignette that makes your field of view even smaller, like, and heavy input lag because of all this stuff we're doing. And you will like it. The one thing I will say about the game, presentation-wise, that I don't think holds up and I don't even think looks very good for 2009, the fire effect in this game. Like, explosions and fire effects don't look great. It looks less like fire and it looks more like orange-colored smoke. I think this building's supposed to collapse even further. No? That was it? Okay. Yeah, the frame rate tanks anytime I look at that just because of all the particle effects on screen. See here. We'll pick up this this kind of M14, like Space M14. Where are we supposed to go? We're supposed to go back up here. They call this part of town Frame Rate Alley. Oh, here we go. The glowing green. I say with a cracked voice. A touchstone of the PS360 era. The audio, quiet as it is also very choppy. Okay, the audio is also very choppy. If the audio is too choppy to even be enjoyable, let me know and I will disable it. Okay? Like if it's actively like ruining the experience. I also just shut down Google Chrome. Along with the frames, of course. If you had to choose one Halo character to jam broken matchsticks up your... Huh? I don't understand the root of the question. Yeah, I also make a lot of jokes, or made a lot of jokes during the Halo 4 days, that the Halo 4 Marines look a hell of a lot like the Killzone Marines. And I think the design for the Killzone Marines are like very unflattering and dorky looking. Like, just the bright yellow visor, the white helmet, white Kevlar, super puffy snow pants, goofy pouches. Like, it's not a good design. Like, it doesn't make them look cool. It makes them look like their mom bundled them up. There's a way to make Marines look really cool, and I guess Killzone and Halo 4 is not the way that you make Marines look cool. All right, let's go up this way. So you can see here, just going full auto like that, my weapon was insanely inaccurate, because you're supposed to fire in bursts to maintain your accuracy levels. Damn, they really do. Marshmallow heads. Yeah, they're marshmallow heads, Joy by Jay. Where are we supposed to go? Okay, so you press down on the D-pad, and then you can kind of see like a little... Shoot the weak spot on the door. That door? Because that door is... Okay. Here, which door am I supposed to shoot at? Okay, it was that door. Oh, I think I'm supposed to, like, blow it up with a grenade. This is, like, the one and only time the game makes you do this, by the way. It doesn't become a reoccurring mechanic. Okay, let's go inside this warehouse. Or shuffle inside this warehouse, like we do. This guy is all right as far as characters go, as unnaturally tall as he is. He's probably, I'd say, the only likable character in this whole game's cast. Oh no! Okay. We are A-okay. Yeah, so this STA-52 thing, this thing is the Helghast's main weapon. Oh man, did you see that camera clip through the wall? Looking at this made me realize how most gameplay FPS cameras are all the same nowadays. Yeah, they, video games have kind of, so, like, games now, for better or for worse, are massive, multi-million-dollar entertainment properties. Way bigger than they ever have before. Like, remember when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in 2009 was like the best-selling game of all time? Like, Call of Duty now makes more money than that game in just like a month. So games are way more expensive than they used to be to produce, but they also make way more money if you can do it correctly. So in a similar way to how modern movies in Hollywood do not take a lot of risks, you know, it's kind of like you go to the theater and it's 5 different Marvel movies, a couple DC movies, like they're all just kind of like the same thing. Video games are also, unfortunately, that way now, you know? There's not a lot of risk taking because you want to get as many people as humanly possible playing the game and spending money on the game. Now, on the plus side, that does mean that more people than ever can enjoy a game. You know, camera controls, character controls, everything is very floaty, very snappy, very precise, and it feels very, like, smooth to play. But on the, you know, on the downside now, there isn't a lot of variety in the way the games play nowadays, you know? If it's a third-person game, chances are it's either going to play like Fortnite or it's going to play like Assassin's Creed. One of the two. And if it's a first-person game, it's going to play like Apex Legends. All of them. Every single one is going to feel like Apex Legends. You know, and it's just because like, those games are very accessible. The way that the camera shakes and bobs, the way it moves, how responsive it is, like, how quickly weapons reload and stuff, the slide mechanic, like, just stick with, right now, what people want. All the weapons have really generic names. Yeah, Killzone's weapon roster is not, it's not iconic, I guess is the best way that I can describe it. It's, look, people are going to remember the plasma rifle from Halo, or the energy sword. Nobody's going to remember the STA-53 or whatever from Killzone. The only reason I know BR-75 is because of my wife, because she thinks that line from Halo Infinite's very funny. Halo Infinite, I think, could also do away with, like, the naming the guns after their fictional in-universe names. Alright, we gotta try to kill that tank. Yeah, you can see the Helghast, they still have that stormtrooper problem where they just kind of like don't really act like people. They just kind of like shuffle about awkwardly in wide open spaces and then go, "He's suppressing me," and they just stand out in the open and slowly try to kill you. But when this game came out, for a little bit of context, ODST was the Halo game. And so, you know, comparing this game to Halo 3 ODST is like... There's a reason that Halo Reach kind of like really upped the ante on the Xbox 360. You know, Halo Reach really dipped its toe into the motion blur look, the film grain wanting to be super gritty looking, because... You know? ODST was running on a pretty outdated engine and outdated technology by that time. And other shooters were starting to look like this. One thing that hurts Killzone 2 and 3 is that you have to have a pistol. You can't have two weapons. Yeah, it's definitely... I think that they probably could have had, like, I wouldn't want them to just be like, let you pick up two weapons, whatever you want. Because, like, if they do want, like, this kind of, like, unique system where you have this backup sidearm pistol at all times, then I want to preserve that to an extent. Maybe what they could have done is they could have had, like, a weight-based system where it's like, if it's a rocket launcher that's super heavy, that's all you can carry along with your pistol. But then you can pick up, like, an assault rifle, but now you only have room for a small sidearm. Or not sidearm, but like a smaller caliber weapon, like an SMG, so you can have an assault rifle and an SMG. You know, you can't carry two assault rifles. I don't know, something like that. Okay. Halo 3 graphics are iconic, though. I'd say Halo 3's art style and its simulated HDR is what's iconic. The actual model quality and asset quality of Halo 3 is not actually that great, even by 2007 standards. Like, there were better looking games. But it's just that, like, Bungie at the time were, like, the most talented in the industry at making you forget that the game is actually a lot more dated than it really is. Just because, like, you look on screen and you see the Scarab explosion or something, and you're like, holy moly, this game looks awesome. Where are we supposed to go? Press up on the D-pad? Okay, I'm supposed to go over there. Yeah, the kill zones are running around like children in a laser tag. Okay. We're here. Oh, we're supposed to drive this? See, it does the Halo thing of jumping into third person. Have you seen the very, very early alpha footage of Destiny? It's kind of wild seeing the minimal Halo 3 engine getting kit bashed with Reach and early Destiny 1 features. Yeah, I have seen that. It's super interesting seeing where Destiny started from. And Destiny did begin some of its development around Halo 3. It was basically like the engine was split off into two different branches. It was one branch was the technology that eventually became Halo Reach, and then the other was, well, you know, the Tiger engine that became Destiny.
I never saw anything like it before. You don't say. All I know is Narville's a piece of work. If he's in trouble, things are really heating up.
Yeah, whenever I go to play Halo 3, I think, I don't remember it looking so old. But then I play it, and the game is beautiful. Yeah, Halo 3 is a great-looking game. It's and not great-looking because of its graphics. Great-looking because of its art direction. Its art direction is so good at disguising how actually not great it should look. Kind of like OG COD, but with a weight system. 2 primaries plus your sidearm. Yeah, something like that. Alpha Squad with their knockoff Delta Squad banter. Yeah, it's really not good, the banter in this game. And they are, I think it's a Dutch game development studio. And it does feel kind of like that. Like, have you guys ever seen, like, those movies made by Chinese film studios, but with American actors for American audiences? And you can, nobody talks the way that we do in America. Like, something about it is very, like, stiff. That's what this feels like. Nobody is talking like American action games talk. Like, the banter is just very stiff and awkward in a way that's hard to explain. Oh yeah, and the emulator keeps glitching out and freaking out and not looking great. I feel so attached to all these characters, Mr. Nowhere says sarcastically. Yeah. But I mean, like, look at this. Like, the atmosphere is so thick, you could take a bite out of it. Like, this is really where Killzone 2 excelled at. And, like, this insane cartoonish presentation is something that you don't see from a lot of modern games. Like, a lot of modern games are just kind of, like, too embarrassed or too focused on, like, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think is up there? Could it be the bad guy? Maybe. I don't know what tells me, though. You know, it's just like the honesty of, like, yep, we're heading into the villain's lair. Could you not tell by the lightning in the sky and the fire and smoke everywhere? There's just, like, this pure honesty around the art direction that just not a lot of games have nowadays, because they're relying too much on, like, I guess just like the automated systems that their engines are capable of nowadays to generate the environment. Like, that doesn't look very realistic. So the engine just won't render clouds that way. And it's like, nah, but like, I'd like something that kind of looks like we're walking right into Mordor. There we go. All right, we placed the bomb. Now let's blow the hatch. The lightning being so insanely focused on one spot. Yeah, right? Like, could you imagine in Halo Infinite if Eshrum's House of Reckoning had, like, an atmosphere like this, like, when you're approaching it, rather than kind of, like, a very authentically rendered environment where it's like, no, the House of Reckoning would not have, like, lightning crackling and moody lighting. It would look like a giant building outside. Here, let's pop open these crates. It does, though, so this game relies extraordinarily heavily on baked lighting. It does have some dynamic lighting and stuff. Like, this is actually really cool. Even a lot of modern games don't do this, which is very obnoxious. But when you fire your weapon does actually produce a dynamic light source. So it will cast shadows when you do this. But the environment, on the other hand, like, the environment does have a lot of baked shadows and baked lighting around it. Like, I'm fairly certain that those are baked shadows and stuff. But because of that, you can really tell what is nailed down into the environment, because, you know, it has to be part of the baked lighting, and what is a dynamic object. Like, those crates there, they kind of look like they're glowing in the dark, don't they? And the reason why is because they're dynamic objects. So that unfortunately is, like, a problem that games of this era had. You know, even Halo, well, especially Halo. Like, in Halo Reach, if you're in a dark room and there's, like, a grunt in the dark room, the grunt looks like it's glowing in the dark. It's just, like, so shiny and sticky-outy, you know, or Halo 3, if there's one of those UNSC crates or a fusion coil that's under a shadow, the fusion coil isn't darkened. It's just, like, glowing so brightly because it's not part of the baked environment. Hot take, but the monitors shouldn't be British. Something about their cadence, which also implies that specific monitor was from Europe before becoming the monitor, just doesn't work for me. Monitor. Like Halo monitor? The Halo Infinite monitor? The Halo Infinite monitor, being British, I think, was a reference to, like, the spooky butler. You know, like welcome, welcome. Why don't you sit? The master will be home soon. Like, that's the vibe that the monitor in Halo Infinite gave. Like, just kind of like a butler of a spooky haunted house. Like, just something was off about him. Here, we'll pick up one of their SMGs. So this is the Hellgast SMG. This thing's pretty good in the campaign. I wouldn't know about multiplayer because the multiplayer services are down permanently, which is a disappointment. I would love to see what this game is like online. I can only assume it's, like, not great, but probably, like, more of a curiosity. I do remember trying it, like, a decade ago, and it was sort of like Battlefront 2 in that there were, like, character classes that you picked from. Hi, baby. Something about Reach feels way better than Halo 3 to me, even though I don't like Bloom and unlimited armor abilities or bullet spongy enemies. I prefer playing Halo Reach to Halo 3. I mean, maybe you just like the technology that underpins it. Reach City, says my wife. That's where we want to be, in Reach City. Halo Reach's engine did make a lot of advancements over Halo 3's. Like, Halo Reach's game engine can actually produce higher and better quality particle effects than the Halo Reach engine. So, in Halo Combat Evolved, they actually had this really cool particle effects system, which I might have to make a video on, where, you know, you've seen it. What am I talking about? Like, I'm talking about, like, you guys have never played Halo 1. You know when you're in the Pillar of Autumn level and you start firing your assault rifle, the sparks that are just, like, bouncing off the floor, wall, and ceiling and stuff. Like, Combat Evolved has a really good particle effects system, and that system actually had to be, I think, removed for Halo 2. So if you go play Halo 2, it actually looks a lot like Halo Infinite, where the particles are more like 2D GIFs, kind of. Where it'll be like a GIF of a spark, rather than an actual spark that will then bounce around the environment. And Halo 3, I think it brought back some particles. Oh, here's the part where they're like, Guerrilla Games wants, like, God, they wish they had the locusts so bad. So it's like, you got like a big guy in armor, but like, that thing took out my whole squad. How do we stop it? It's like, how do you kill this thing? Like, they keep calling it a thing when it's like, it's a guy in armor. Like, it's not an alien creature. You know, like, they want the hunter from Halo. They want the locust berserker. You know, how do we stop that thing? Dom, get a charge. We gotta hit it in the back. Like, unfortunately, you know, they're saddled with just a bunch of guys in armor. So they don't have a menagerie of alien creatures to pick from. And they're trying to hype this guy up. They're like, what is that thing? It's like, it's a guy in armor. Why are you calling him a thing? Look, try shooting his head. Like, it's just a guy in armor, so why did they hype it up like it was like this alien creature, this thing? What is that thing? It's like, use your eyes. It's a guy in armor. It does really remind me of kind of like just really wishing that they could have like their like an alien creature, kind of like Halo or Gears of War. But all they're stuck with is guys in armor. Are we talking about Guilty Spark? It never occurred to me that he was British. Guilty Spark isn't British. He speaks, what's that accent called? Baby. What's that accent that American people had back in the 60s? The really weird kind of like... Yeah, transatlantic. That's what Guilty Spark kind of sounds like. He sounds sort of like he has a pseudo-transatlantic American accent. World's friendliest looking juggernaut. He's got googly eyes. That's just that unfortunate... It's a thing that I really think holds back Killzone. It's such a nitpick, okay? I'm going to sound very petty saying this. Like, I don't know why Guerrilla Games really likes the silly snow pants. Because I don't think it does their designs any favor when you've got the glowing red eyes, but then the guys all shuffle out of a building and they've got these puffy pants on, like their mommy button them. Yeah, the balloon pants, like their mommy buttoned them up. See, even the good guys have, like, the puffy balloon pants. And it's the same way in Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, all of the male characters in Horizon Zero Dawn, they also have balloon pants for some reason. I don't know, it's like, could you imagine those guys if they had, like Nazi leather boots rather than, like, these puffy snowshoes? I noticed the ISA are blue, Hellgas are red, same as the COG and Locust and Gears of War, respectively. Yeah, I don't think the ISA being blue was a thing until this game. conveniently after Gears of War became very popular. Okay, that's a bit of an unfair thing to say, because I think good guys blue, bad guys red is more of like a universal default than like something Gears of War invented. But it doesn't help, I guess, Killzone's case for itself, just because there are other things that it clearly was inspired by Gears of War with. But I like puffy pantaloons. The puffy pants are their bedtime pajamas. Oh no. Yo, let's pick up the iconic Killzone STA-11. Guys, Halo has the Needler, but does Halo have the STA-11? I don't think so. You know what is pretty wild about this game, though? It basically has almost to a T the cut melee system from Halo 2. Even the animation. So imagine I'm holding a battle rifle. Almost the same animation for the battle rifle from Halo 2, but then if you keep hitting the melee button, you can do this. This was actually a mechanic that was originally in Halo 2. I think I said originally twice. This was originally a mechanic in Halo 2. This was a mechanic in Halo 2 that was cut from the final game, where you would be able to just keep chaining your melee together to do kind of like a series of rapid hits with your gun. It was cut from the final game for God knows what reason. Bungie hated fun, I guess. But here, Killzone 2 has one. Morning, just finished a graveyard shift. What's up? Oh no, Andrew, I'm so sorry, buddy. He did the night shift. STA-11 moment, says Frozen Fire. Halo's got the CQSB Bulldog action, says Joy by J. In the CQSB Bulldog action's defense, it can be abbreviated to just the Bulldog. In Killzone, because I don't retain... Like, my brain... I already struggle with, like, numbers. So in Killzone, none of these guns stick in my brain. Because it's just, like, a series of random letters and numbers. So I just call it the good guy assault rifle, the bad guy... Or the Hellgast assault rifle, the SMG, etc. Puffy pants are a holdover from old uniform regulations. You were to blouse the cuffs, which would normally cause them to look that way. Feels like Killzone 2 tried to be a tactical shooter, but was just a mess of popular games, but worse. The puffy pants are a holdover. Yeah, the puffy pants are a holdover. And I say the puffy pants fully understanding that, like, balloon pants did exist as, like, military uniforms. But this game is trying very hard to look very cool. And the Hellgas, like, look, that helmet looks really cool. But then you see them, like, running around in these, like... Look, did you just see that guy? He had a fully loaded gun, and he put it away and took out a tiny little knife. Look, he's chasing me! He's chasing me with a knife, and I have a gun! If he had just used his gun, he wouldn't be dead! Why'd he put away his gun to use a knife? That guy did it, too! What? He took out a tiny knife. Why did they do that? Why did they think that would be an intelligent idea? See, the game may look better, but it's still Killzone under the hood. Oh, and the game does have a down system. Coincidentally, you know, after Gears of War came out. But look at the way that he's, like, laying. His, like, arm is all splayed out, and he's like, ugh! He's making the TikTok sound. Okay, let's get him up. Yeah, look, his leg doesn't look very good. His body is twisted in this weird formation. Pew! And then we zap him and he snaps back into a perfect pose. Oh no, a gunman! I'm gonna stab ya! The British AI behavior is spreading. Suicide grunts, but less threatening. Yeah, it's all I can think of to justify why the Killzones, or the Hellgast, will, like, drop their gun and take out a very tiny knife and then just, like, run at you like an illiterate monkey is because they wanted, like, you know, kind of like the, what is that thing? Like, they don't have a menagerie of aliens that act like alien creatures. So they've got to give that AI to, like, humans. The problem is it looks very dumb when a human will... Did you see that guy standing there? But it looks stupid when a human being who has a firearm with bullets will throw that on the ground to pull out a tiny little knife. Ah! He got me. He got me, guys. The consequences of not having armor. They do that to mimic the Elite Ultra pulling out the sword. Yeah, it's you know, Halo's pretty cool. What if the Killzones acted kind of like Halos do? And they also go into a berserker state. Wait, oh, we're supposed to go this way. Okay. I prefer both SR S99C, S2AM, and M90's cause action. Actions. See, I don't know what those are. M90, I think, is a shotgun from Halo? But that other thing, I have no clue. I have no clue what that is. It's just the fictionalized gun names and serial numbers. Like, my brain needs the storage space to retain other information. Here, we'll shoot. What is that guy shooting at? Does he think I'm over there? Here. There we go. Sometimes the enemies will taunt you when you die, and the screen will focus on the... Oh, that is a very silly system that I hope we get to see. Here, we'll see if we can do it right here. Okay, pull out your tiny little knife. Okay, good. No, it's not going to... Okay, so sometimes when you fall over like that, which the death animation doesn't look very good, the camera looks like it just kind of like goes to sleep. But sometimes the camera will actually look up and start tracking the guy who killed you, and he'll just like stop whatever he's doing, even if he's in mid-combat, and he'll like wag his fist at you. It's just like really... I really hope it happens, because it's very silly when it happens. Oh, the Halo Sniper is SR99C. Yeah, Halo Shotgun is... Yeah, I don't... I'm not good with fake numbers. Even Call of Duty, after a time, I had to give up on remembering gun names. I'm very fortunate that Call of Duty has a couple of guns that have, like names that aren't just a series of numbers, kind of like the SCAR, the SPAs, because if it wasn't for those, I wouldn't be able to remember a majority of Call of Duty's gun names. You'll tilt over like a Minecraft mob. You really do. You just, like, the camera just kind of shifts to a 90-degree angle, and that's it, you're dead. Granted, I think Killzone 1 did the Halo thing where it just goes into, like, third person and your guy hilariously ragdolls around. Just without Halo physics. Did I say the Halo 3 thing? I can't remember. If you die at a high ground and fall, the camera will bounce like a basketball. Yeah, that also happens. Like, the death cam in the, what do they call this thing? This engine that they have, the Killzone engine. It's the same engine Horizon Zero Dawn runs on. But the death cam in the Killzone engine is, like, really, really janky. And so if you fall from a high ledge and then hit the ground, like, you know, obviously you start by the camera tilting at a 90-degree angle, and then it just shoots down to the floor below you and then starts bouncing, like, really high up in the air until it finally settles. The Scar is a real gun name. Yeah, the Scar is a real gun name, and Call of Duty did used to have real gun names. The reason it doesn't anymore is actually, like, fairly complicated. It's a combination of trying to avoid lawsuits in the wake of mass shootings in the United States, alongside not wanting to pay for gun licenses, alongside also wanting to have more creative freedom to, like, twist and mangle weapon silhouettes. It's like a wide variety of things rather than one singular thing. For why Call of Duty doesn't use real gun names or gun designs anymore. Here comes some Halo 4 Marines. Some marshmallow heads. Thoughts on the Hellgas design overall? I like the red eyes a lot. I don't like the snow pants. I do kind of wish that they had the, like, straight leather boots of, like, a Gestapo. But, like, the Hellgas look cool. It's just, the problem is they look very silly in motion. You know, when they're doing stuff like that, like, coming up to you with a rifle, seeing you, and then just throwing their rifle on the ground and taking out a tiny little knife. It's more that in motion, their presence kind of breaks down because they behave so silly. Sniper rifle system 99C Series 2 anti-material and M90 close assault weapons system. Long story short, Halo has always used Moon Rune acronyms for the UNSC arsenal instead of easy to remember nicknames. Well, Halo, the game does use the easy to remember nicknames. Like the Halo shotgun is just shotgun, you know? Assault rifle is just assault rifle. You know, sniper is just sniper. Those are more of like the in-universe designations for them. But as far as like the actual games are concerned, the games just give them like a nickname so that it's a little bit easier to remember. Until Halo Infinite, that is. Which the reason Halo Infinite did it the other way is because Halo Infinite, you know, was developed with the intention of adding more weapons over time. Which was an idea that ultimately did not come to pass, you know. So they were envisioning a world where Halo Infinite could have had like 5 different shotguns across different Halo games. So you give them their fictional in-universe name so that you don't have to be like Halo 1 shotgun, Halo 2 shotgun, etc. also moon rune acronyms. Did you make that up? Because that's a really funny way to describe like fake gun names. Is like they're using moon runes. Why did you compare the ISA soldiers to the Halo 4 Marines? I can't unsee it now. Yeah, they do just like when Halo 4 and Halo 5 were like the mainline Halo games, I'd say that they look like Killzone Marines. And the Killzone Marines look really silly. Just because of all the bright white colors and kind of like the unflattering, like puffy, inflated, like marshmallow head look. Did you hear that troglodytes on TikTok were bullying Jeff Steitzer, Halo's announcer? Shame, says Joy by Jay. Troglodyte is Rebecca's favorite insult, so when I read that out loud, she giggled behind me. Hey, what's your gun model? I don't know, it's in Elvish. Infinite really was missing the pump top loading shotgun. It was missing a lot of guns. And my wife just responds with Pumpy. She needs a cake pop. Do we have a cake pop? Maybe we could go to Starbucks later. Oh, guys, congratulate Rebecca. She got her learner's permit. It is never too late to get your learner's permit. And she got hers, and she is driver now. Driver. The gun names in Call of Duty are so stupid. Karens are determined to take away fun. Wow, now that the guns have made up names, all of my previous violent urges just evaporated. Well, it's not Karens. It's more, so, as like an example, there's just so many. Which mass shooting was it? One of the mass shootings, one of the more publicized and horrific mass shootings that happened in recent memory in the United States, the kid who orchestrated it used I think it was either a Remington or an ACR. And what they found out was that the kid played a lot of Call of Duty. And now this isn't like the Fox News, like this just in, child plays video games. It's more that, like, not only did the kid play Call of Duty, like, that specific gun was his favorite gun, and he was very into that specific firearm to the point that he was able to get his hands on a real one and then used it to execute the mass shooting. And then couple that with the fact that this is Activision, okay? This is Activision doing a big bad. They shouldn't have done this, and they definitely probably got what was coming to them in this lawsuit, though I don't actually think they were affected by it. I think it was the gun company. It was included in that game. It was the ACR, I think. It was included in the game with an undisclosed advertising agreement. Basically, they were paid a ton of money to include the gun in the game, but they did not disclose that it was basically kind of like a sponsored firearm. That's the way that the story goes, I think. Either way, the family was able to successfully argue that the game, which it did, kind of, you know, based on the fact it was an undisclosed agreement, that the game kind of advertised this specific weapon and portrayed it in a really awesome light, and that their kid then took that weapon because he was used to using it in Call of Duty and liked it and was able to seek it out because he knew what he was looking for, and then used it to commit a mass shooting. And because of that, the family of the I think it was the family of the victims won a shit ton of money, and the company actually went under shortly after, I think. It's very complicated legal mess that I couldn't possibly begin to get into, but just reading the way that it played out, it did seem like, oh wow, that's like a headache. And so now Activision would rather never be involved in a messy, complicated situation like that ever again. So that's partially why now, like, most of their guns are just completely fictional. Because it's like, whether anything bad happens or not, better safe than sorry. Like, cover your asses, basically. My friend just got his, and I don't feel safe on the road no more, says Durandal. Driver, says Frozen Fire. Infinite was missing a story and a lot of things in general. Well, Infinite had a story. I played it. Yo, I saw a gun online and suddenly all my moral responsibility evaporated. It's not about the moral responsibility. It's that the gun, like, the argument wasn't that Call of Duty caused the mass shooting. The argument was this kid was going to do it, and the game marketed to him which weapon to use, I believe is the way that it was described. And the Call of Duty, by not disclosing that they had a licensing agreement, basically, like, they lied to their consumer. Here, maybe I should actually just look up the details of the lawsuit. Either way, like, reading it online, there was no argument that Call of Duty or this gun caused the mass shooting. It was more an argument about the fact that both parties hid the fact that they had an agreement to market the game. Or market the gun in the game and promote it in a very positive light without disclosing that that's what they were doing. ATAC moment. Yeah, you noticed that. Them shouting, ATAC! Kind of like trying to do the Gears of War Delta Squad. Troika! Brumach! Like, Killzone also wants its iconic names for weapons of war that characters will shout out. It's just something that's, like, really hard to describe, but if you play Gears of War, you know the, you know, Grubhole, Brumach, Troika. Like, in this game now, it wants ATAC. It's like, sorry guys, people remember the Brumach, nobody remembers the ATAC. Just like that one guy who played CSGO competitively, and then when he lost, he tracked down the guy and used a knife similar to his in-game weapon to kill the guy. Sort of like that, but imagine if CSGO also had an undisclosed agreement with a knife manufacturer. And that weapon, that knife was also specifically designed to be overpowered so that it could be portrayed in a positive light. And none of this was evident in the game, because Valve never told people that they had this agreement. It's sort of like that situation. Still upset that they literally called their drone Attack. Oh, ATAC? Attack? Yeah, I hope that that's not what they were doing, but now I'm really worried that that is what they were doing. I'll always find it funny how Halo's OG Shoddy has a heat shield on its ammo tube, implying that this element heats up. At that point, I'd be worried more about that than I'd be worried about more than potentially burning my hand on it. Oh, on the ammo tube. That the ammo tube heats up? Yeah, I guess, wouldn't that be, like, dangerous if the ammo tube heated up? The ammo tube that you have all of your shells in? Wouldn't that possibly, like, if that was an issue, wouldn't the shotgun, like, overheat and then make all the shells loaded inside fire off? Holy frame rate. What do you think about the Halo TV show being canceled? Oh, guys. Yeah, you guys want to talk about this? Because I am the one person on planet Earth that enjoyed Halo Season 2. It doesn't surprise me. Season 1, I think, was probably a massive hit. Maybe not massive, but a big hit, enough to where they preemptively ordered a Season 2. But I think the reason that it was a hit was because people wanted to see what this Halo show even was. And I think the first season of the Halo show was probably so bad that even non-Halo... Like, the target audience is not Halo fans, okay? The target audience is subscribers to Paramount. The audience retention was probably so poor that, like, season 2, I'd be super curious, but I'd imagine it was all about viewership numbers. And the viewership numbers for season 2 were probably not very good. And the Halo fans can, like, yell, you know, all they want about how bad the show was. What's more important is what Paramount thought about how their audience responded to it. And it seems like their audience did not tune in to Halo Season 2. And so probably combined with the fact that their audience was not tuning in to Season 2 as much as they did Season 1, and how expensive it was to actually film each episode of the show, they probably only saw declining viewership going forward. And that's why they probably just dropped the show. They were like, this is too expensive to produce. Our audience is not watching it. We don't like it anymore. You can have it back. LNG has a stroke live on stream. Oh boy. We are playing at a buttery smooth 19 frames per second right now. Which, if anybody played Far Cry 3 on the Xbox 360, is basically the way that the game just ran as a default. Now we're at 15 frames per second. Here, let's see if we can get out of the street and back into a building. I think it's all the smoke and atmospherics right now. And probably dynamic lights as well, I'd imagine. Killzone wishes it wasn't Killzone with that Nerf armor. Yeah, that's the iconic phrase. Not iconic. I'm not gonna call something I did iconic. I'm not Ubisoft. That's the phrase from my video. Like, God, 8 years ago now, where I was like, why would you make your Marines look like Killzone Marines? Even Killzone wishes it wasn't Killzone. Where's that guy going? Howdy, buddy. Frozen butter smooth frame rate. Killzone into the Spider-Verse. What's the point of marketing to non-Halo fans with a Halo-themed show? It was doomed to fail. Well, probably the same reason that, like, Michael Bay's Transformers movie was made not for Transformers fans. It was made for general audiences, and it was a massive success. It's just, you know, sometimes it works in spite of itself. Sometimes it fails. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of clients, where they think that they know best with the property. And you can make changes to the source material in a way that actually benefits it. Like looking at Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movie. That's like a perfect example of making tweaks and changes to the source material and it actually, like, improving the source material and making it more popular than it otherwise would have been. But then, you know, you've got situations kind of like Halo on Paramount Plus, where it's like so many changes to the source material, and those changes kind of devalue the source material rather than make it better. Like things like Silver Team, I actually think were pretty great. Not that Silver Team should be retconned into the core canon as, you know, the team Chief trained alongside with. But like Silver Team were a great idea for a Halo show. But making Chief constantly take off his helmet and his pants, maybe that wasn't a great idea. Pretty much. Almost as funny as how from Halo 3 onwards, the shotgun ejects spent shells from its top side loading gate instead of the... Wait, it does? Like it did in the older... You're right, it does. I'm remembering now the pump animation. That's so weird. So you load it in from the top, and then it just ejects the shells from the... That doesn't make any sense. I have the Halo Forward Unto Dawn physical DVD, and there's a whole behind-the-scenes documentary that's really interesting to learn about. Really? What's it like? Yeah, my wife just said, that movie rucked. It rucked sucks. That was a little flick. I would say at least the Halo show didn't ruin the lore, but it was already by 343, i.e. the Forerunner retcon. Yeah, the Halo show, I don't think I'll ever be kind of like, you know, some of the other content creators that really despise the Halo show, just because all things considered, that Halo show came out at very specific key periods in my life, Season 1 and Season 2. And both of those times, that show was a bonding exercise between me and my wife, but also me and my mother-in-law. And then later on, when my mother-in-law was, you know, yeah, when she passed away, that's when Season 2 came out, like during that time period. So that show is kind of like a... Every week for an hour, we could escape a little bit from the reality of what was going on. So it's very hard for me to be deeply angry at that Halo show. But I am not surprised to see that it was canceled after 2 seasons. It was very suspicious that Season 1, they immediately announced a Season 2. But for season, you know, after Season 2 was done, not a peep about a Season 3. Like, nothing from them. Just, like, one comment where they were hopeful that there would be a Season 3. Oh my god. The frame rate is right now hovering at 14 frames per second. Let's see if we can get lower. Okay. Right now, I have to rely purely on the aim assist to actually hit anything, because the frame rate is so low and the input lag is so bad. Oh my god. Okay. This pit, there is a bit of a firefight sequence. You have to fight off 2 waves of kill zones in here. And if the frame rate is going to stay hovering around this, It feels like I'm playing a video game that is in Microsoft PowerPoint. Like, the frame rate is so low that I can count the individual frames every second. In the first season, I liked the blonde gray Spartan's story. Blonde gray... Gray? You mean silver? Oh, are you talking about, Kai? Oh yeah, Kai was great. Kai consistently has been the best part of the whole Halo show. And it's a damn crime that they took away her pink hair in Season 2. the Forward Unto Dawn DVD is really in depth. They went a lot into the props and how they casted the Master Chief. I think you can find it on YouTube or something. Interesting. I'm gonna have to go look at it. I know that they did use some of the the props from the canceled Halo movie. Like, I think the Warthog was one of the props, because there were like 2 Warthogs, I think, produced for the canceled Peter Jackson Halo movie, as well as a carbine. Ackerson was cool. Yeah, Ackerson was great in Season 2. Even though he really, really, really reminded me of Matt Smith. Like, his accent and his speech cadence. Oh, here comes an embarrassing moment of trying to be cool. So, the door's not opening. It's not open. Fuck this! And then he shoots it. The door just doesn't open. And then he just runs back. What was the point of that? Whoa. Like, you've seen this scene in games, right? Where, like, we gotta get in here! Fuck this! And then he shoots the door controls, and then the door opens, because he broke the controls. But in this case, nothing happened. The door stayed shut, so what was the point? What was the point of that? It's just, like, another moment of, like, Killzone 2 being very, like, awkward and stiff. And, like, you know, it's seen Gears of War. It's seen American action games. But it doesn't know why American action games are the way they are. So it's like an alien trying to emulate them. And it's very awkward, very stiff. Yep, as it's ejected, the spent shell casings phase through the new shell being racked into the chamber. Another post-Halo 3 shotgun pet peeve. The gun being pumped after every reload, not on dry reloads only. I'd freaking love to see a new Halo shotgun. But, like, take, like, the Combat Evolved shotgun, maybe add a couple reach elements to it, and then give it, like, a super modern reload refresh. Door engineers subverting expectations. At that point, at least try to kick the door down. Nowadays, when there's an awkward moment, characters just do backflips. The frame rate is so low. And then I believe someone eventually just, like, opens the door for them on the other side. God, I can't wait till I get out of this pit. Oh my God, my eyes hurt because of the frame rate. Like, I can play 30 frames per second. In fact, I think 30 frames per second looks comfortable depending on the game. But, like, 30 FPS is the minimum. Anything lower than that, and my eyes start hurting really bad. They built the new Warthog, I think. Oh, you're checking. Wait, never mind. Yeah, no, because it's the Halo 3 era Warthog, which means that prop... Because, like, so for Forward Unto Dawn, they had, I think it was either Reach or, like, prototype Halo 4 Marine combat armor for the actors, because they were trying to establish... like the Reclaimer saga look, you know? They were trying to kind of, like, introduce people to that look for the Halo universe. Like, they had the new assault rifle and everything. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to use, like, a Halo 3 Warthog or a Halo 3 era carbine model unless those props already existed, which is why, holy frame rate. We got to 12 frames per second there, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the slideshow. Chief had his armor from that Halo Legends episode. He did. He did have his armor from that Halo Legends episode. And Halo Legends was also a 343 production. I forgot, when did that initial Halo 4 teaser trailer come out? The one where Chief woke up from cryosleep? Because that used like a super early version of his Halo 4 armor. All I remember from Forward Unto Dawn was that it killed off too many characters and I didn't like it. Forward Unto Dawn, I think, is alright. It's pretty good. I used to be a lot harsher on it, but now that I have a wife, I like things because I experience... She just laughed behind me. I like things more, especially when I share them with her. And we watched Forward Unto Dawn because it was like the only Halo movie. And it was like a little flick. It was like, you know what? Forward Unto Dawn's fun. Yeah, it was like a little yummy, tasty treat. It was like a little Starbucks, she says. It's like as if we went to Starbucks.
I'd like to get that on the Blu-ray.
Yeah. It is so hard to play right now. The frame rate is so low. And my eyes hurt so much. In fact, I'm actually feeling kind of sick. I think I'm getting motion sickness because of the low frame rate. Whew, hang on. First and the rest in the tube. Okay, really, Project Brutality does that? That's pretty cool, actually. I want a proper cinema-level Halo movie, Steven Spielberg style. Was Steven Spielberg involved with the first Halo? Here, I'm sitting away right now from the screen a little bit. I'm backing up. If the motion sickness symptoms persist, I may have to stop playing and probably switch to something more comfortable. But, yeah, Steven Spielberg was involved in the first Halo movie, right? Yeah, he had, like, crazy ideas for it. Like, Steven Spielberg allegedly wanted Master Chief to have an evil brother who had a black version of Master Chief's armor. I think I hear my wife listening to Kamala Harris TikToks. That was Guillermo del Toro. It was del Toro that wanted Master Chief to have an evil, black-suited brother. I don't think the motion blur is helping. Motion blur doesn't normally bother me in games. It's definitely the low field of view, with the poor frame rate. Here, I gotta stop moving around, because that also is, here, this is definitely helping. Like, I'm starting to feel a little bit better now that I'm sitting further away, but I've also got to stop running around, because that is just killing me, that I'm, like, moving around. I gotta play it more like Gears of War, like, stop and pop, you know? Here, we'll pick up one of the Killzone's assault rifles. Their assault rifles are pretty good at range. Chief's evil twin? I'm sold. Take my money. Yeah, I forgot the details of it. I know that, that version of a Halo movie, I don't know if there's ever a script made for that one or proposed, but there is, I think it was Garland's version of the Halo script when it was like a more faithful recreation of the, a more faithful recreation of Halo 1. Sounds like that one Agent Washington Combat Evolved mod I played, where you play as the titular red versus blue Spartan who slaughters a ton of Marines and Spartans on a ship. What? Wait, what's that mod called? That's some goofy stuff. Oh, babe, we gotta find a new K-drama to watch. Oof. Yum! Shadow the Spartan. Only source is Marty. Oh. Yeah, Garland made the Combat Evolved adaptation script. Yeah, and Garland's script is not brilliant. But also, who knows, like with a good director, it probably could have been decent. But I will say, it was relatively faithful, and it even introduced some, like, interesting ideas. Not like Master Chief is sad. Like, more like Master Chief has somewhat of a nemesis in the form of, like, a specific elite in distinct black armor. That is kind of like his foil throughout the story. And then Captain Keyes, they actually change him up, and he doesn't get, you know, put into the giant mushroom, the giant booger monster. He instead shows up at the end of the story when they're on the bridge of the crashed Pillar of Autumn. You know the scene where Guilty Spark contacts them over the radio, and Cortana is like, "Oh hell." Instead, what happens is Captain Keyes is there, and he, like, confronts Master Chief, and he's, like, in shadow, and then he steps out of the shadow, and he's all floodified, and he's like, "I am the Flood." And it's, like, it's very silly, but, you know, it's, like, a fun little climactic moment. But then it gets very dorky, because Captain Keyes, I guess the Flood has telepathy powers, and Chief has his, like, it's in my brain. I can't fight it. And then Cortana's like, "Chief, you have to fight it." It's very, very silly. But then I think they do a Warthog run. I'll have to check out the script. Have you heard of the Halo fan game Branching Sickness? I have. I've been following it for a little while. Is it, like, releasing soon? I hope so. Because I really want to play it. A lot of these Halo projects, like these fan projects that are announced and then just sort of never come out. I hope one of them comes out and is good. I remember, I think it was 2016 when Installation 01 was announced. So almost a decade ago. And it had that crazy trailer. And we never got to play it. Hell, that was before we even got, like, the MCC on PC. If a Halo movie was released, I would want it to be a new story. Follows the lore, but not a retelling of a game or book. It would probably have to be something like that if it's a new story, or, like, if it's following the lore. Like, unless you want it to be another adaptation. Because I think the first Halo, if you were to tell the story as is, it would make for a pretty bad movie. So you'd have to make some changes to make it more workable within a movie script. That's just how it is before, that's just how it is with fan projects. Most never come out. Yeah, it's just, some of it is due to just kind of like over-ambition. Some of it is also due to, like, you know, it's a fan project. They're not being paid. They're doing it with their spare time, and unfortunately they have jobs. But then also some of it, which if you're very lucky, you get hired by a major studio because of your fan project. Like, I know one of the guys who worked on that initial Elite trailer for Installation 01. I actually think because of that trailer, he actually got picked up by a game studio. So, you know, he's not doing Installation 01 anymore, but thankfully he is now making a living. What the hell? What happened? Look, I'm a basketball. Oh my god. Premium Eurojank. It just came out? Wait, it's out now? Oh, okay, it's not coming out now, but a new video came out showcasing some stuff. Maybe it'll be like the first Halo, like, fan game that actually releases. Not gonna lie, that Keys Bridge confrontation scene you described would be all the more tragic if they had him saying his D20 terminal spiel. Keys, Jacob, Captain, service number. Yeah, that would have been pretty tragic. Yeah, I freaking love that terminal. It's sad that in that terminal, he's like sacrificing every memory he has to the Flood so that they don't find the location of Earth. So it's like, you know, the Flood is sifting through his memories, and anytime it starts getting close to finding the location of Earth, Keys gives it like a personal memory. And then he forgets it, you know, forever, because like the grave mine's consuming him. And so he's just like holding on as long as he can, like sacrificing who he is bit by bit by bit, buying time until Chief arrives and just punches a hole through his head. Sad stuff. Ooh. All right, guys. I am going to hop off because I feel motion sick right now. And because I am also paradoxically hungry. So I'm going to have to recover a little bit. This game at that low frame rate and low FOV, that hurt my eyes playing on this tiny monitor. This is a game designed for a TV, designed to run at a stable 30 FPS, not 14 frames per second, sitting a comfortable distance away from the viewing port. Yeah, so guys, I will, I'll see if I can download the Killzone 3 ROM. And I should clarify, I do own Killzone 3, okay? But, oof. Was the frame rate that awful, or was that the stream? That was not the stream. That was the genuine frame rate. It was that bad. The frame rate was consistently hovering around 14 frames per second, and it was very hard to play that game. But, yeah, guys. Sorry about your weakness. Get well soon, says Frozen Fire. Yeah, this zone was definitely killed. Yeah, guys, that was fun. I shall see you